Hi everyone, welcome to Deco Magic. Today I'm going to show you how to make a filigree Christmas tree. We're actually going to pipe it. In other tutorials there will be other ways to make a filigree Christmas tree if you're not very confident at piping, but I will give you the pattern and basically it's just like tracing. It's very easy to do. So just to give you an idea of what we're actually making, this is our filigree Christmas tree. It's done with two tones of Deco Magic, so it's done with the metallic green and also with our pearly green. So as I said, the patterns will be available online for you to obtain so that you can actually make this, and we'll do this as a step-by-step tutorial. Got our stencil here of our Christmas trees. We're actually going to put them into a plastic sleeve. This is just your normal plastic sleeve. You can put these into the oven. I normally don't go any higher than 70 degrees. Now when I put this in, I put it in upside down. The reason I'm putting this in upside down is so, alright, once it's in, I'm going to be piping this stencil here. So once it's in and I've done the first three, I can then just move this down to do the next three and so on. I don't have to pull the whole thing out and re-put it in. Now on the stencil it actually states to use a #1 writing nozzle. Now that is an Ice Master tube. I would suggest if you're not using an Ice Master tube then you use a 0 nozzle. So I'm actually using 0 Loyal tubes. I've filled my bags and I'm actually going to do a two-tone Christmas tree. So I've got our pearly green and I've got our metallic green to pipe with. So I'm going to start showing you how to pipe. I'm going to do 9 of each colour and then we'll join the Christmas tree together so we get the finished result. Here we go. So all you have to do is follow the pattern. So it's just like tracing. That's our first side of one of our Christmas trees. So I'm going to go and pipe another 9. Now that I've done 3, I'm going to slide the pattern down so that I can do the next 3. And then I should be able to fit another 3 on the page. Now we opened a new packet of Deco Magic and the amount I've put in so far, which is how much I've got left after doing 3. And this is how much is left in the packet, because I know a lot of people worry about how much you actually get in a packet and how far it goes, but because you're using such small tubes you don't actually need much Deco Magic to produce a product. I don't know about other people when they're using disposable piping bags, but because we're using such a small amount and it's such a big bag, I sometimes find having all this excess when I roll it up annoying. So what I do, just with a pair of scissors, I normally just snip it across here, so that I can make myself a smaller piping bag. Unfortunately they don't seem to sell smaller piping bags, so a smaller one so that I don't have the excess and it gives me a little bit more control when I pipe. That's how our 9 branches look. So we're going to put them in the oven. Now you'll notice they're a bit like royal icing in the fact that they're raised at the moment. To tell when Deco Magic is completely dry, which you'll be able to see when they come out of the oven, they will be completely flat. Now you don't have to put them in the oven if you don't want to. The main reason I'm putting in the oven is just to speed up the process. They will definitely dry overnight if you leave them out on the bench. So if you're not in a hurry, just leave them out to dry. I'm now going to start piping the dark green one, so I'll show you how to do it again. I normally start with the outside line. Now it's important to get this straight because this is the bit you're going to join together with chocolate to make the Christmas tree stand up. It's also important to get the base straight because you want it to sit flat on your bench cake. If you're making a chocolate plaque to put it on, you need it to sit flat. So I like to, rather than inscribing when I pipe, I like to drop. I've always preferred to drop like with royal icing. So Deco Magic is similar to royal icing in many attributes except that it's flexible when it dries. All you need to do is just follow the pattern. And if you make a mistake, it's very easy to lift it off again and reuse it, put it back in the bag so you can reuse it and start all over again. It's not a problem. Okay, so I'm going to pipe another 9 of the metallic green and then I'm going to put them in the oven to dry as well. Now I finished our 9 metallic green Deco Magic ones, but I have had the pale green ones in the oven, so I just want to show you the difference so you can see what I mean by it flattens. Now when you look at those ones and you compare it to these ones, now these green ones are fine to touch, they're not sticky or anything, but when you actually look at the angle of them, hopefully you can see this on the video, they're actually very flat and not raised compared to these. This is how we know they're starting to get dry. So I'm going to pop them back in the oven because they're not ready to pull off yet, and then I can show you the next stage. Now that our Christmas trees are dry, I'm going to show you what we do to get them off the plastic. I also flip them over so that we can dry them out completely before putting them together. So with a paring knife, I'm just going to get underneath the branch like this and slowly take it off. It's like taking a chocolate piece off a piece of silicone paper or Glad Bake if you're making, or even a filigree and royal icing filigree. Only you don't have to be as careful as what you would with a royal icing filigree, because these are still quite flexible. You don't want them so they're rock hard, you want them to still be quite flexible. So once you take them off, you'll see that you can maneuver them quite a lot. So they're still at a good point. If you want to dry them out some more, you can. Otherwise they're at a good point that by the time you put the chocolate together and put them together, they'll stand up straight. So continue doing this for all of your branches, the dark green ones as well, and then once they've lifted off, if you want to dry them out more, just put them back in the oven till they crisp up a bit. So now we have all 9 branches completely loose. So flip them over. And return them to the oven. With a paring knife, I'm just going to get underneath the branch like this and slowly take it off. It's like taking a chocolate piece off a piece of silicone paper or Glad Bake if you're making, or even a filigree and royal icing filigree. Only you don't have to be as careful as what you would with a royal icing filigree, because these are still quite flexible. You don't want them so they're rock hard, you want them to still be quite flexible. So once you take them off, you'll see that you can maneuver them quite a lot. So they're still at a good point. If you want to dry them out some more, you can. Otherwise, they're at a good point that by the time you put the chocolate together and put them together, they'll stand up straight. So continue doing this for all of your branches, the dark green ones as well. And then once they've lifted off, if you want to dry them out more, just put them back in the oven until they crisp up a bit. So now we have all 9 branches completely loose. So flip them over. And return them to the oven. Now it's time to put the tree together. So I've got a piece of Glad Bake or silicone paper. I'm now putting one branch of my tree one side and the other colour of my tree branch on the other side. Now you have to make sure that you line them up across this way, because if you don't line it up straight this way, your tree is going to be crooked when it stands up. I'm using some dark brown chocolate, compound chocolate, to join it together, and I'm just piping an edge down the middle. You can use royal icing if you want to, but I just find that the chocolate sets quicker. Now that your first 2 are done and joined together, if you want, you can make sure they're going to come off your silicone paper or Glad Bake, and you have that. Have it like this, so it stands up. Most important thing now is to make it so that it'll stand up with 3, so it can stand up by itself. So with your chocolate, pipe another line down the middle. Grab another branch and stick this on top, making sure that the base bit aligns with the base so that it's not wonky when you stand it up. And just stay there with it, or you can put paper in if you want to wait till it sets, or you can just hold it. It shouldn't take too long to set. Now when you're comfortable that it is firm enough, you can then lift it up so that it'll stand up like so. And then you've got a base to work with. So that way we've got our side going that way, and then we've got our little one here at this angle. I'm going to pipe in here a line going up. And then I'm going to connect my next one. Now because we've got dark here, I want to do a light green. Oops. And because they're still flexible, you can move them around a bit. And you just keep going. The next one I'm going to do is a dark green. So far I've got dark green, light green, dark green, light green, and you just continue that around. You'll maneuver them once they're together because they're still soft. Not soft, but soft enough to manoeuvre. Now have our 18-piece multicoloured filigree Christmas tree. That our Christmas tree is made, we want to put it on a chocolate plaque. The reason for putting mine on a chocolate plaque is because it's going to get carried away around from lesson to lesson. Another reason for putting it on a chocolate plaque, if you're going to use buttercream or you're going to use a fresh cream cake, you're best to put a 3D decoration on at the last minute, because the moisture of the fridge will actually make your 3D decoration collapse. Otherwise, if you're putting it on a fondant ice cake, don't worry about it, just put it straight on with royal icing. But for my purpose, I want to put it on a chocolate plaque, so I'll show you how to do that. A sheet of silicone paper or glad bake. I've melted my compound chocolate. I'm going to pour that straight onto my silicone paper. And then just slowly move it around so that it stays in a circle. You want it as big as your tree so that your tree doesn't get damaged when you put it on. So this way, by just moving it around slowly, you pretty much get a perfect circle and you don't need to use a cutter or anything. And just make sure the size of your tree is going to fit on over the top. Now once you do this, your little fronds won't be able to be moved, so make sure you've got them spread out as much as how you want them to be spread out. So this will also give your tree just a little bit of security or structure, so to speak. So let's pick our tree up. Place it in the middle. Of our chocolate plaque. Now with this, I can put it in the freezer to get it to dry quickly, if you want the chocolate to dry quickly, due to the fact that Deco Magic is freeze thaw stable, so it's not going to affect the tree in any way, shape or form. At the moment we're just going to leave it on the bench to dry. Once the chocolate has set under your Christmas tree, just take your paring knife and slowly, you don't even need to do that, sometimes it just comes off. There you go. And that's your finished decorated Christmas tree. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and please feel free to look on our YouTube channel for more tutorials about what you can do with Deco Magic.